It tells you.
Okay.
You can.
All right. All right. So we'll call the meeting to order, which is 9:13 a.m. Looking for a mover and seconder for the approval of the agenda, that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee agenda for November 18th, 2024 be approved as presented. So do I have a mover? Julie and Michelle, seconds. Any questions regarding the agenda? Not seeing any. All in favor? Carried. Okay, does anyone have a conflict of interest they'd like to declare at this time? Not seeing anything. Moving on to the minutes of the previous meeting, looking for a mover and seconder that the minutes of Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting of September 23rd, 2024 be adopted as circulated. Do we have a move?
I'll make that one.
Okay, Warden McNeil moves, seconded by Maya. Yep, okay. And now on to number 5, which is delegations, petitions, and presentations. Pardon me? All in favor? Carried. Number 5 is delegations, petitions, and presentations. So we do have an exciting meeting here in regards to some awards being presented. There are a number of awards here, a number of recipients as well. Who is looking after this portion? Sahil? Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can I stand up? It's
Yes.
better to facing you folks. Yeah, I'll stand there.
Trip hazards if you trip, you've been warned, so no problem.
Alrighty, well, good morning, everyone again. It is definitely a privilege to welcome you all to the Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee's award ceremony. It is definitely and genuinely uplifting to be here today honoring you folks and organizations that you work for and where you make these notable advancements in accessibility and inclusion within Huron County. The HCAAC Awards, they celebrate and acknowledge the remarkable contributions made to dismantle barriers and attitudes and foster a more inclusive and accessible county. We'll be presenting 2 different awards today. The very first one is the Award of Merit for Barrier-Free Access. This award further has 2 subcategories. One is public and one is business sector. So let's begin with the Award of Merit for Barrier-Free Access, starting with the public sector recipients. The first and foremost is Township of North Huron. They were nominated for their council chambers. Their newly redesigned space, it features an accessible council horseshoe. There's accessible seating. There's an audio system with an assisted hearing loop, an adjustable podium, and accessible washrooms. So kudos to Township of North Huron.
Here's your award. Who's gonna be it? Here, one for you, one for you.
That's a Montreal Canadian mug, just so you
Any words for us like to share?
Great.
Okay, well, on behalf of North Huron, we really appreciate this exciting news. I didn't know about till Carson got in touch with me. I saw somebody walking around our area there once or twice, and but great news, and there's some questions going into this project, but it came really well and smooth right to the end. And now that we finally got the podium, it looks like it's finished now. So again, thank you very much for honoring us.
Thank you for doing the great work.
Just a quick note. So North Huron has actually put together an accessibility plan, and they're including that hopefully in their budget. So, I mean, this is a wonderful news where they'd like to review a lot of their spaces. Super proud of that initiative on their own. Hopefully we'll be partnering with them a lot in the next couple of years. Sorry, Carson. We'll be hanging out together. Okay, so I'm really proud of that initiative on their own. So that's really, really great. Great news for us, for sure.
Are those inside tears, Carson, by the way?
Yeah.
You'll get a text.
Say?
No, Paul hit it on the head, but just a project we're really proud of. All the feedback we've gotten from our constituents so far has been very positive once they get in the space, and yeah, really improves democracy in our municipality. So
Thank you. Moving on, our next recipient in the public sector is Municipality of South Huron. The South Huron was nominated for their recreation center, which has undergone extensive renovations to enhance accessibility. That includes accessible parking, automatic doors, accessible washrooms with emergency call systems, and they also have an accessible viewing platform. And they also offer improved experiences for all their patrons with mobility needs. So congratulations, South Huron.
Congratulations. Thanks, Nadia.
Thank you.
Words for us.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for what they've done. I know our community partners are working together with our staff, and I want to really thank Julie Sawchuk for her dedication. If it wasn't for Julie and her leadership, working with the board, it just wouldn't have happened. This past weekend, we had the Silver Stick, the International Silver Stick Tournament in Exeter. And you could just see the flow of people. Those that were using the accessible viewing stand as an example, just as one example. But it was just amazing to see it. So just want to thank you for your leadership. I think that's the easiest word. But the partnerships that you've created here amongst everyone is a testament. So we so much appreciate that. But you've made us leaders. And as Susan said earlier, people are calling us from all across the province asking for advice. And again, it comes right back down to this table. So I can't say enough about you. So congratulations for all you do and thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor Finch, I just want you to know Stacy's an absolute gem. Her engagement on this committee is just tremendous, and I can't say enough for that. I mean, she's right in there, and I think it's really great. So Stacy, thank you for that.
Thank you. And this is definitely a project that I'm proud of. I saw it from start to finish, and you'll be happy to know we're using the lessons learned into our other arena right now for signage and contrast.
Yeah.
So it's really great to put the effort in and you learn, right? So you carry that on, and it's a journey. So thank you.
And you planted the seed in everybody's mind as how easy it can be to be accessible. So kudos to you. That actually just is true leadership, quite honestly.
Thanks, Trina.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving on, our last recipient in public sector is the Listowel, Wingham, and area planning health teams. So recently, Susan Reeds and I toured the facility, and the facility has wide hallways. They have an accessible elevator. They have accessible washrooms. They have an accessible exam room. And we also, just to build up on their already impressive accessibility features, we did send them more recommendations just so they can keep creating that beautiful space. So congratulations, Listowel. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. On behalf, so, we're Listowel Wingham, we really value accessibility, especially in healthcare. And I can't take credit for, all the accessibility choices they've made, but we're going to move forward, with the recommendations that you've made so we can make the space better for everybody.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Great space.
Moving on, the second category is the business category. The very first is the Eddingtons of Exeter. Despite the strict regulations that was involved with the historic building and the renovations of it, they have successfully added an elevator to the main dining area. They have accessible washroom and a fully accessible patio, all without any external funding, may I add. They also have a new accessible entrance and additional designated accessible parking. Before these changes were made, individuals who couldn't navigate the stairs, they were limited to dining on the outdoor patio without access to the washroom. Now these renovations, they ensure that people with disabilities can fully enjoy the dining and attend events. So thank you so much for doing that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Few words.
A 20-minute speech. Yeah. 20-minute speech. It was great when Julie came in just by fluke, just coming for lunch one day, and she saw that because 2020, we decided we had a 3-tier patio. We decided to knock the existing patio down, fully concrete from the road, knowing that accessibility was in our future, kind of our plan moving forward. So we started with the patio during COVID when we had the 6 months off to shut down, and then Julie was in just having lunch, and I was so happy when I said, come on in, check out what we've done. We put on an addition with 2 accessible bathrooms, a wheelchair lift, new entrance, and broke into the old building to get in, because it was a challenge with that house from the 1870s, obviously, make it accessible. And And when Julie said everything was where it should be, that would made my whole day because of where the emergency call buttons are and where there's certain things that are sometimes contractors do and sometimes, yeah. So that was kind of nice to see where.
Nailed it, James. You nailed it.
Yeah, so now we are fully accessible and we redid our parking lot, our entranceways, our sidewalks, everything to work on that. So, yeah.
You've got a beautiful restaurant and the food is absolutely delicious.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've been there a couple times.
Yeah. So Megan and I really appreciate the award and the word of merit and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up in the business category is the cannabis guys. They have demonstrated this exemplary commitment to inclusivity through inclusive hiring practices. Notably, their nomination actually came from Sean, a valued member of the committee, and employee of the store. And I think that underscores the positive impact of your practices within the organization and of course outside. So congratulations. Mason is here representing the store.
Yeah, quite so easy.
Yeah, never really been one for big public speaking, so I'll kind of keep it short and sweet. Sean's so much more than like a coworker to us. He's really like part of the family. Genuinely couldn't imagine what the store would be like without him. He always brings a ray of positivity, and no matter what it is, and reminds us all to keep on striving for better. And so, thank you, Sean, for the opportunity to be here today.
Cool.
Public speak more.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to our next award, which is the Sandra Thompson Memorial Accessibility Champion Award. This award was established in 2022 to honor Sandra Thompson, the former accessibility coordinator for the County of Huron and an exceptional advocate for accessibility. This award honors an individual who shows exceptional dedication to promoting accessibility. They demonstrate strong leadership in advancing accessibility. They work to create a more inclusive community, and they make a significant impact on the lives of individuals with disability. This year, we are delighted to present this award to Bruce Humans. With over 40 years of experience, Bruce is an invaluable asset in reviewing construction documents. His attention to detail, especially concerning building code regulations, design, and accessibility, continues to enhance the collaborative planning process with Huron County and other local clients and residents. Bruce's dedication is evident in his standout projects such as the accessible public washroom at the Huron County Courthouse and the barrier-free housing developments in Goderich and Exeter. His thoughtful kitchen and bathroom designs are a testament to his commitment to promote safety, independence, and dignity for all, leaving a lasting legacy for future generations. Congratulations.
Well, first off, I would like to thank you all for recognizing this. I don't know that I really deserve it because what I'm doing is my job. And it's important that my job is to recognize everyone's abilities. I don't like to think of them as disabilities, but abilities. Everybody has different abilities and different abilities to be able to do things or see, hear, walk, talk. It doesn't matter. So what we do as a designer is we try to listen to what people's needs are, address those needs as the best way we can, and find ways for things to work for everyone together. That's really what our job is. So really for me, this is just recognizing that I've done my job. And I'm very pleased to be able to be given this opportunity and be given this and representing Alan Eva's architect in the past and now JPM Architecture. We expect to continue this kind of work and continue to strive the best we can be for everyone. Thank you.
That is it for the awards, and congratulations once again. Can we have a round of applause for everyone? Alrighty, next up, so as you know, we'll be taking some photos, and these images will be shared on county social media channels. If you'd like to participate but prefer not to have your pictures posted, please let me know before we take the shots. But otherwise, we're gonna do the photo op.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a little bit of time. We're gonna see how many we can fit in front of our Huron County logo, obviously, because we're gonna be emphasizing Huron County being accessible. And we're gonna attempt to do some group, and then we're gonna do some individuals. We'll share that with you guys, because I mean, I think you guys should all really, really be proud of what you've done, and post them as well. So we're just gonna kind of organize this orderly somehow. We want to stop the recording, Lisa, and then we'll just start again.
Okay, exciting to hand out awards like that. To see the changes that businesses and organizations are making and, obviously it is important as well. And it does come at a cost. So those businesses are willing to spend some extra money to, provide, necessary accessibility for everyone to enjoy their restaurants and businesses. So always nice when we can recognize businesses and people for the work that they do, no matter what it is. So moving on with the agenda, up next is the committee member comments. Do any members of the committee have comments? Julie, please.
I have two things. I just wanted to give the committee a brief update about where we're at with the design of public spaces review under the AODA. So I'm sitting as the chair of that committee. We just closed the review period for public feedback, and we have overwhelming support from the people who have gone through our initial recommendations, to the point where majority of the recommendations were supported between 82 and 90%. So people are in agreement with my committee in terms of what we're asking the province to do. So we're now going through that feedback, making changes to those initial recommendations, and going to produce a final report hopefully by the end of the year, possibly early January, at which point we will then give that to the government and say, hey, government, please do this. And then we wait for the government to make a decision. So that's where that's at. So that's with the province. And just to toot my own horn a little bit, I've been asked to be on the Accessibility Standards Canada Standards Development Committee for existing public spaces. So we're going to be developing a document to help institutions that are federally regulated figure out how to retroactively apply accessibility. So in buildings that are already built, which is going to be like, that make my head explode, because there's so much, nothing is the same. So anyways, and that's starting at the end of this month. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any other committee members have comments? Warden McNeil.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, through you, I want to congratulate all of our staff for the hard work that you did in the coordination of the awards. Sahil, we never go wrong recognizing businesses for their accomplishments or individuals, and it always inspires others to do the same. So thank you very much to our staff for all the work that you did.
Yeah. Any other committee members? Not seeing any hands. Okay, we'll move along to the reports of the accessibility coordinator. There are a bunch of reports here, so we just want to go through them one by one.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
So first report is the accessibility coordinator report. So I did a couple of resource creations in the past 2-3 months since we last met. So I created an accessible document guidelines for the county staff, which is how do you create whatever documents you're creating, how to make them accessible. The second one I did was the active bystanding, just in the spirit of promoting inclusion and safety. Third is the event accessibility, which is in response to our last meeting. We wanted all the organizations to have sort of a checklist to adhere to, and that's the event accessibility guide. And the last one was the accessibility checklist for municipal sites, and this is for our accessible tourism initiative. So the idea is when we start doing our reviews of the municipal sites, we'll sort of follow this checklist. The second thing was a training delivery that I did for the long-term care staff, the homes department, which was focused on microaggressions. Personally and professional education, I did complete my Ricanson accessibility certification. And then for the Canadian Certified Inclusion Professional, I'm partially done. It's a long process. I'm partially done. Took the exam. Yay. Apart from that, Susan Libitz and I, we went to the Listowel, the Family Health Clinic, like I said earlier, and I did send them the recommendatory report that was also attached with the agenda. That is it. Any questions for me?
Yes. Any questions? You have been busy.
Always.
Yeah. Really appreciate it. Lori.
Congratulations, Sahil.
Thank you.
That's a lot. that you've done and taking the Rick Hansen certification just makes you more aware of.
Definitely. It's a great program.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
great program. So congratulations. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Mhm. Anyone else?
We have any, Kevin?
Oh, Michaela, I didn't even know you were here, Michaela. Look at that. My apologies.
Mayor,
Yes,
I
go
was
ahead,
gonna-
Michaela.
I was going to come and I apologize for not being in person, but I am not at the best of weather this morning, so I thought I'd save you all from my germs. Thank you, Sahil. Those documents are amazing. I took a quick look at them since I've received them, and I'm looking to implement them, especially the how to make documents accessible into our Goderich program. I've tried. But this is a one-stop shop, and I appreciate you for taking some work off my desk. So thank you very much. Great documents.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, Julie, go ahead.
Through you to Michaela. Michaela, do you have some suggestions about how best to reach all of the special event groups? Either in, obviously for you specifically in Goderich, but like in the county as a whole so that they know that this resource exists?
Yes, we did talk about it at the working group, Julie, through you, Mayor, and we will be, Goderich specifically will be sending this out with any organizations that apply for a special permit. So they have to apply for a permit to hold an event in the space. So they'll be receiving the document. And from what I understood at the municipal working group level, we'll also be making that available in similar process. And it will also be posted onto some of our corporate websites as here's a resource. So I'm hoping also that we can push it out through our BIAs. Just to say, here's a document that's accessible, whether it's a special event or not, whether you're just holding a community or a corporate function in your own space. Here's some considerations.
Brilliant ideas. Thank you.
Yes, Michaela, my question for you then would be, I'll just use Town of Goderich as an example. This will be part of a contract that the special event organizer will fill out. Are they required to do everything that is provided on that list? Because how do we police it if there isn't an accessible portable washroom, for example, but yet we've added that to the list of things that should be required?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Chair. They're going as stated in the guidelines, their recommendations to be followed. Unfortunately, we can't police it, but maybe it's worth us going around and doing a little kudos for people that are following. And maybe that's something I can take on as a accessibility manager for the Goderich. Any kind of events that are really trying to implement these guidelines, we give them a special little shout out somehow and praise, because I agree, we can't police it, but we can certainly toot their horns.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that, and I think that's a good idea. I look at what we just did with the awards and providing those pictures to the businesses and the municipalities, and they can share them themselves. I think it's an important story to share. So any event where the organizer is abiding by the checklist, so to speak, I think we should do that, and hopefully everyone else will do the same. Susan, you had some comments?
I did. So this came up at the last meeting, and I actually wasn't at it, but I did watch the recording and the training of volunteers and et cetera. So Sahil Labitz and myself have had some extensive conversations about this, and the working group, we've involved the working group, our lower tiers in that, and we're looking at a couple of different options. They are, of course, only recommendations, as we all know this, but we have talked potentially maybe looking at one of those workshops that we've done here, where we have someone come in and we make it available to all of our local municipalities. And it could be potentially a recorded one, but we would invite all of our groups, our Rotary Club, the Lions Club, all of that. We've also talked about maybe hosting an event where they would, all be invited in. Many municipalities do have something in place for their service groups. So we're just going to kind of combine it. Hopefully, it will become more of a program than it will be just one-off. So we're on it. Stay tuned. Remember, this group is all about the entire county. So we're going to try and get the clerks were told, well, I'm not going to say clerks because they're not all clerks. The working group were totally involved in this and really wanted to make a county-wide program for this. So stay tuned. We're on it. Education committee and working group.
We're done.
Okay, yeah, amazing. Thanks for all the work in this too. Is there any other questions or comments regarding that? Lori?
Just through you to back to Susan. If, as you're working on this, there is an accessibility awareness week, if that might be
Actually,
a.
We've already talked about having it rolled out in that
Would be fantastic.
which is May, which is just before many events start. And that was one of our wonderful ideas in there too. So
Excellent, thank you.
Great minds.
Yes, wow, there you go. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any, so I will read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee receives the report dated November 18th, 2024, titled Accessibility Coordinators Report, November 2024, as presented for information. Do I have a mover? Diane and Fern seconds. Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, Sahil, up to the annual accessibility plan.
Thank you. So at the first glance, you'll see it's definitely formatted. There's more structure to the document now. We have added the line acknowledgement to it. Also for strategy, we've added our guiding principles, which is intersectionality and disability. And then we also have added how this committee will contribute to the overarching goal for County of Huron's inclusion goals. 2024 achievements are listed, and then 2025 goals, we've identified a couple. The first is we're going to launch the Access LED in March 2025 in concert with the ECDEV's SLED program. We're going to continue to enhance accessibility in public spaces by encouraging public institutions to call us and for us to go and, provide recommendations. There's been an advancement in accessible tourism initiative. So now we do have a checklist that will be sent to the site and review plan subcommittee for your comments, and then we'll go from there. Then we have promoting accessibility awareness and education, which we were just talking about, is how we're going to do that, the event accessibility, how we're going to train our volunteers. That's going to align with the National Accessibility Week, which is in May. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Sahil? Not seeing any. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that means you're doing great work, Sahil, right?
Trying.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right, if everyone's okay, I will read the recommended motion, okay? Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee approves the report dated November 18th, 2024, titled 2024 Annual Accessibility Plan as presented for information. And further that the Accessibility Advisory Committee recommends to the Council of the County of Huron to approve the 2025 Annual Accessibility Plan for the County of Huron as required under the AODA. And further that a copy be posted on the Huron County website as directed in the Integrated Accessibility Standard under the AODA and forwarded to all municipalities in Huron County. Do I have a mover for this motion? Michelle, and seconded by Fern. Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to item 3, which is multi-year accessibility plan update. Sahil.
So our multi-year plan, similar updates as with our annual plan, same structure, same guiding principles. The difference will be in the strategic and action plan. This is obviously more long-term because this is good for 5 years. So we do want to start with our customer services, which is will be the AODA volunteer training. We're going to train obviously the staff, all the stakeholders, but we do want to take volunteers as well to and train them. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to enhance our community engagement mechanism. So hopefully we're trying to get a virtual platform where people from the community can directly contact us. It will be a pilot program. We don't want to just hold a physical event just yet. We just want to have a pilot virtual one first, just to see what the reception and the appetite is like. Moving on is the information and communication. Like I said, I already created that accessible document guide because, you know, accessibility goes beyond just physical space, but continue to roll out such resources. Hopefully you can get people to actually take training from external vendors as well. Employment, definitely train our county employees in, and not just the HR personnel or the managers, but everyone in how to make those accommodations that are needed. In terms of public space design, we definitely want to amp up our reviewing process. If we're doing 5 reviews this year, maybe we want to do 10 the next year. So really going to amp up that program. That's really it for the strategy for next couple of years. And also just want to make sure, because our legislation is going to evolve, like we discussed with the Direction and Regulation Committee, it's going to keep evolving, right? So we just want to stay relevant to what that is. That is the goal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sahil. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any?
Yeah, if I could,
Yeah,
through
Board
you,
McNeil,
Mr.
please.
Chair, just a
Yeah.
comment. Well done.
Mhm.
I like the path forward.
Thank you.
Well done.
As we read through this agenda, I think everyone can realize the work that Sahil is putting forward here. It's a workload for sure, and it is greatly appreciated. I think, you know, I can speak on behalf of the committee in regards to that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I will read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee approves the report dated November 18th, 2024, titled 2024-20 to 2029 Multi-Year Accessibility Plan Update as presented for information, and further that the Accessibility Advisory Committee recommends to the Council of the County of Huron to approve the 2024 to 2029 Multi-Year Accessibility Plan Update for the County of Huron as required under the AODA, and further that a copy be posted on the Huron County website as directed in the Integrated Accessibility Standard under the AODA and forwarded to all municipalities in Huron County. Do I have a mover, please? Maya moves and seconded by Julie. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to the terms of reference. Sahil.
Thank you. So the terms of reference for this committee, the main committee, has been revised. The Directive and Regulation Subcommittee and us, we did meet earlier in the summer to start revising what we had. And then we did come up with a couple of revisions. The first and foremost is now we have a broader definition of what disability is, and not just adhering to what AODA says, but also what the Ontario Human Code says. So just bringing a very comprehensive definition to the table. Earlier we had different vision and a mission. Now we sort of compile them together to make an objective, as opposed to have different statements. The other considerable change is in your committee size and composition. Sorry, just above that, the duties. We sort of listed what a committee member can do or shall do and what they shall not do. So that clear distinction was very important. It just brings clarity to everyone. Apart from them, in terms of qualifications, we wanted, again, to have more diversity with the team. So we said lived experiences with disability, both direct and indirect, because, you know, it affects everyone, right? So just bring that diversity to the table. So that's a revision that we did. And that is all. It's just differently formatted and, you know, just making it look pretty.
Perfect. Pretty is good. Huh?
We like pretty.
Yes, yes. Any questions for Sahil or Magnus? Once again, lots of work done. Nice and organized, right? So, okay. I will read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee approve the updated HCAAC terms of reference dated November 2024 as presented. Do I have a mover? Diane moves and Fern seconds. Okay, any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're moving on to all our subcommittees. So the first one is the Education Committee. So Sahil, the floor is yours, as usual.
Thank you. The Education Subcommittee, we met. So our first thing on the agenda was to create that checklist for the Accessible Tourism Initiative, just to So a draft was sent to the committee and then we met and then we all had insights into it. And now it's been revised. There are a couple of points that have been added that's in the report. And then once that's all combined, it'll be sent to the site and plan review subcommittee for your addition to it. Apart from that, we did review our HCAAC award nominations, which were done earlier in the day. And then lastly, we did talk about the volunteer training program, as everyone was mentioning before, that we do aim to roll out in May 25th to 31st in 2025, which is your national accessibility program. I know we touched on it a little bit, but again, going to be a virtual pilot program because it's easier to do virtually than to have everyone come in a space. And then if we get a great reception, and hopefully we'll do, we can look into doing it physically in future years. That is it.
Okay. And for the volunteer thing, how would that information get out to, will it just go through the municipality?
Yeah, it'll go to the working group.
Okay.
And then they will basically run with it with support from this committee, especially the education subcommittee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do volunteers receive a certificate for, I don't know, it's always good to receive something if you've taken the time to complete something in regards to training.
We'll add that to the list.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, it's,
Very good idea.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely like
No.
a badge or like a digital badge is even okay, right? Like, yeah.
something. Yeah, I think it's important because people like to, if they're doing a training, they like to, at least show people that they've done the training. They're maybe qualified compared to someone that hasn't done the training, right? Something to think about anyways. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. Okay, I'll read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee receives a report dated November 18th, 2024, titled Update from the Huron County Accessibility Education Committee as presented for information. Do I have a mover? Maya and Lori seconds. Any questions? Not seeing any. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next is the Directive and Regulation Review Committee.
So this subcommittee, we met in September just to go over the final drafts for the multi-year plan. And of course, the subcommittee had great insights into it, especially around adding more accountability with timeframes and timelines, and then some minor formatting and grammatical things were there. But yeah, that was really on the agenda for that day. If anyone has any questions, and happy to answer.
Any questions? Quiet bunch right now.
No.
Huh? Wow. Okay. I'll read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee receives a report dated November 18th, 2024, titled Update from Huron County Accessibility Directive and Regulation Review Committee as presented for information. Do I have a mover? Maya moves and Michelle seconds. Any questions? Not seeing any. All in favor? Carried. Up next is number 3, which is Municipal Working Group.
So this, sorry, the working group, we met in September, and then the first thing we discussed was their revision of their terms of reference. So there was a good conversation around it, and their TOR has actually, we've revised it considerably. It is attached, and I think we do go over it following this report. I had the chance to provide all the municipal groups, all the municipalities with the access-led information. It was definitely an overview, but more information will be sent to them. I did talk with them about the multi-year and the annual accessibility plans, and they were requested to send their accessibility initiatives so I can attach them to our multi-year plan. And we've gotten some submissions so far. This is where we discussed that an event accessibility checklist should be created. This was in September. Of course, it was created and it was sent to everyone. And then we also discussed the accessible tourism initiative with the group, and some municipalities have actually added to their already sent list, just more organizations or more buildings. Yeah, that's about it. And then all our partner municipalities, they have their own updates about what amazing work they're doing. And yeah, that's about it really.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Julie, go ahead.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the working group. I just would love to know what's the feeling around the table in terms of how well municipalities feel like they're supported with accessibility, what their burning issues are. Like, are they getting what they need? Are they struggling with anything in particular that came up?
Michaela has her hand up. I was actually looking to see if, from from the town of Goddard's point of view, Michaela, please.
Well, I think that certainly we really feel supported with the Accessibility Advisory Committee, where we can reach out and you come and certainly, and review all of the buildings and our plans and have that input, which is great. And I know that Sahil and the working group have been talking about more education opportunities for our municipalities. Not even from necessarily a planning perspective, but from a document perspective, which was so excited to see that document go to kind of list that you did, Sahil. So we've been certainly coming up with some ideas. A lot of it is education for our municipal employees on accessibility that I know that Sahil has been working on. So we're kind of moving forward with that for next year. So we feel supported and we have a lot of information and we have the past. So thank you very much for letting us access that as well, Julie. So I know that that's gone out to building officials, etc. So I think we're just moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. Susan has some comments as well.
Yes. So the point of the working group is for to share their pains and for us to help them get to their shame. And so accessibility is a tough one for some of our local municipalities. Most of them do not have a designated accessibility person by any means. Goderich is very lucky. Okay. I think they might be one of the few that do. It generally lands on the clerk's desk because it's legislation. And I'm going to tell you, it's right there in the corner. And that's it. And they try to check the boxes that they have to because they don't have time for it. Okay. There's been a pretty decent shift in that over the years. I've seen it. It's not always the accessibility or the clerk that's coming to our working group meetings. It's usually someone else now. Stacy, South Huron, she's great.
Rockstar.
North Huron has someone else that generally comes. So I'm going to say that there's been a decent shift in how municipalities are handling accessibility. And the working group, that's where the staff get together. And that's why we don't have a member there. It is just staff. And they come to us and they say, this is what we're needing. This is where our gaps are. Yep. And then we bring in and try and figure out how we can work that through. Okay. And I'm going to say, I'm going to say that they're becoming much better. And their terms of reference is a perfect example. I've provided that to them for years and we've rarely made changes. I mean, maybe 3 years ago, they reduced the number of meetings. That was it, right? This time they took a real fulsome look at it and they changed it a lot. Enough that I'm like, okay, they're actually engaged. So I'm going to say they're getting what they need from us. And honestly, I think a lot has to do with this video zooming, this stuff, and the ability for us to connect with them quick and easy, and then to help some of these gaps quick and easy. So I'm going to say, yes, they are definitely more engaged than they ever have been. And I think we're getting more to them and from them than we ever had.
Nice.
And I also say that as this committee too, because this committee is growing and thriving and has for many, many years, long before I was here for sure, but even more as we go through it. So stay tuned. When they bring stuff to us, we bring it to you and our initiatives to them. So.
Any other questions or comments? I will say it's nice to see changes when changes happen. It also is, from a municipal point of view, it's difficult sometimes to make those changes as quickly as we want to as well. But please realize that they are in our sight. When we go into budget, those are things that are being discussed, and how much can we actually spend during this budget season in regards to certain things. And it's not that it's not a priority, because it is, but we just, we have to do things at a pace where we're not increasing our taxes by 10-12% every year, right? So, yeah. Because I look at it from even the town of Goderich and certain, I have that accessible lens now. So when I go into a public washroom, for example, right? I'm looking at where is the toilet paper dispenser and all that stuff, and how is someone able to reach it? And those, to me, those are simple fixes that can be done, you know.
Budget.
Exactly. So let's just get it done, right? The other things that require budget, that's a conversation that council has to have to approve all those things. And that's up to people with that accessible lens to provide that information as to why it is important to spend the money on these certain things as well. So, okay. So I will read the motion if no one has any more questions or comments, and I'm not seeing any hands. So the Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee accept the report dated November 18th, 2024, titled Update from HCAAC Municipal Working Group. Do I have a mover, please? Maya moves, seconder Warden McNeil. Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. On to number 4, which is the Accessibility Advisory Committee Municipal Working Group updated terms of reference.
Yes, so as I said earlier, the working group has a revised TOR now. There's obviously some revision to their duties, their mission statement. We have a broader definition of what accessibility and what disability is. Major revision to the scope of the group. So it was agreed that the group will examine accessibility within the scope of the lower tier municipal responsibility, again, because we know the capacity is negotiable. In terms of qualification and selection of members, like we said, it's not always the clerks that come to the meeting. Sometimes it's representatives or designates. And it's obviously to do with capacity, but also because we want to make sure that everyone gets trained. Everyone knows how to participate in this committee. And again, it has to do with diversity, right? Because people are going to bring all different viewpoints to the table. And that is it. That was all the big changes that were done to the TOR for working group.
Susan, do you have anything to add since your name was part of this on this?
Added it earlier.
Oh,
I did add it earlier,
Okay.
just saying, I mean, because I
that's not me throwing you under the bus.
totally is,
Yeah.
you throwing, whatever, that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's okay.
I can run faster than the bus sometimes.
Oh, boy.
Ooh, unless you're driving it. As I said, I mean, I'm lucky enough to be able to gauge the engagement of the committee. And I would definitely say that is a far more engaged committee than we have previously have. That is not a criticism of anyone. That is just the world that we live in. It truly is. And it is a tough sell sometimes when, I mean, there's so much stuff that has to be done. So municipal staff are busy, and that I'm not, crying blues here. I'm just saying they're busy, and it's sometimes really hard to get to everything. And accessibility is one that used to fall underneath, and to the wayside. And it's not, it's coming up. North Huron is a perfect example. I mean, they're actually doing a full out plan. They actually asked if we would review all of their buildings, which we had to say, we can't do that because we don't have capacity to do that, but we will do a couple of them every year for however long. So great example. South Huron's really getting hold of everything. So I'm really proud of how it's coming along. So yeah.
I think that's huge that a municipality reaches out and wants those reviews to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Because there'll be some that we're like, well, we don't want to be told, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right. Because some might take it as a negative thing when it's not. It's just if you can create some of these changes, right?
It's education, and the approach of the review committee is always, this is really great. This is really working. Maybe we could try this, or maybe we could try that. So the approach is incredible, and their experiences have been good. So kudos to this committee and to our partner municipalities.
Okay, thanks for those comments. Any questions or comments from the committee members? Not seeing any. I'll read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee approves the Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee Municipal Working Group updated terms of reference as presented. Do I have a mover? Maya moves and Lori seconds. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Up next is new business and unfinished business, and Susan's name's attached to this. So Sahil, you can take a little break for a minute.
You're gonna make him report on that.
Way. Yeah.
Lori, I wasn't at the last meeting, but I would have been ahead of you on this one had I been. Okay, so
I
this
know.
is something we do every year where we ask council to take whatever we have in surplus, which isn't as high as usual this year because we did a pretty extensive workshop training with our partner municipalities and political figures as well. So anyway, we keep socking it away. That reserve fund was in September's meeting, I believe it was reallocated from the washroom, portable washroom project to our access sled program, which is going to commence in March. Applications are going to commence in March, which is great. We'll have a meeting, couple meetings probably before that. So we'll ask everybody to throw it out there, make sure we can connect with as many businesses as we possibly can in 1 year. I think the idea is we have about, I think it was 68,000 somewhere around in there in our reserve fund. What we would like ultimately to do is use like half of it in 2025, use half of it in 2026. And if this program is as successful as we feel it will be, and we truly do feel this is going to be a successful program, there may be an opportunity to ask council to keep the program going, and that would be an allocation of funds for it. So to see just to balance whatever we're giving it out. It's not going to be a 1 year, we're going to blow it all by any means, because we want it to be,
Sustainable.
yeah, sustainable. And yeah, so we're targeting maybe 30 a year, I think. So anyway, hopefully
Thank you
that's
for
where the
that.
money's going. Lori, I would have had it, but
Do.
Do you have any comments to make, Lori, directed towards Susan, please? Huh?
I just appreciate she knows I'm a stickler on this and out that funds so that we can extend our education in the
Yeah.
following year. So yeah, and I recognize that it has to be done
Yeah.
by this time of the year or we miss out
keeps
on
me
it,
sharp.
so.
She keeps me sharp.
Well, thank you for that, Lori. It's greatly appreciated. Any other questions or comments for Susan? Julie?
Yeah, just because Sahil, you mentioned about, sorry, you were out of the hot seat. I'm putting you back in the hot seat. About increasing our number of site reviews, like potentially doubling it.
Yeah.
Is that in the budget?
Gonna be.
Cool. That's
So that goes under, so the budget for the committee, this committee has control over the program line. And that's it. The rest of the accessibility budget covers little things like the awards where they come, office expenses, blah, blah, that, per diems is in there as well. I have a meeting with our treasurer Wednesday. And there will be an ask, depending on where we're at with that, I will be asking to bump it up a little bit to include a couple more reviews.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, good question. All right. Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any, so I will read the recommended motion that Huron County Accessibility Advisory Committee requests that the 2024 HCAAC surplus funds from the Accessibility Program Fund be moved to a reserve fund for the Access Sled project. Do I have a mover for that, please? Warren McNeil, okay, and Lori seconds. Any questions? Julie, yes?
It's not a question. I just want to say how awesome it is that the county does support the AAC. And I want the county people to know how important that is, because I deal with a lot of municipalities across the province that don't have AACs that get any financial support. So
Could I make a recommendation to you?
yes,
Because I think it would be valuable for Julie or the committee to create a correspondence to have on a county agenda to express your gratitude for the program. I think all county councilors should see that. Right?
you're done.
Just saying. Susan's giving me the stare right now.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to work it. Well, a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
So that is not the stare, that is a stare.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it would be great. Maybe it doesn't go on a county council agenda. Maybe it goes,
Correspondence.
correspondence, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's nice for the people that are making these decisions in regards to financial, you know what I mean, support.
Because what it does is it shows that Huron County is a leader.
Totally.
Mhm.
And they need to know that so that they can continue to be a leader.
I agree. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, there are no correspondence on the financial statements. So there is a motion that financial statements for the month ending September 30th, 2024 be received. Do I have a mover for that, please? Maya moves, seconder. Vern, okay. Any questions regarding the financial statement? No? Okay, all in favor? Passed. There is no close to public session. Any items for the next meeting agenda? Does anyone have anything that comes to their mind right now that they want to share? Not seeing any, so if you do, please let Clerk Cronin or Sahil know. And they will have it added to the next agenda. Next meeting is going to be on January 27th, 2025. That's hard to say. That's like, we got Christmas coming, we got New Year's coming, so it's hard to believe that this is our last meeting of 2024. So before we adjourn, I will say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year's to all of you if I don't bump into you, right? And I hope everyone has a safe and happy holidays. Fern?
Will that be an in-person or a Zoom meeting? No, that will definitely be in Zoom. We find that the winter months are just way too tough to do that. So absolutely definitely Zoom for that one. March will probably be Zoom. And then we'll see from there. There is a goal to have a couple meetings that are also on site. We have a request from one of our Homes for the Aged to do actually both Homes for the Aged to do a thorough review of them. So those ones may be in person. That might be a June meeting. So, okay, stay tuned. We'll tell you when we can.
Can I get that March date?
Sure.
Anyone?
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Laura, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just have a question, in regards to the, awards that were handed out today. So where is the social media? Where does that show up so I can share and?
Yeah, so we have a press release,
Okay,
which we already have a draft for.
okay,
We're gonna attach the pictures from today to it. It goes to county's communications team. They're gonna
Okay.
gonna get it approved. And then we have a press release on December 3rd, which is our International Disability Day.
right,
And then following that, the same day, I believe it goes on LinkedIn, our media channel, and Facebook. That's about it. I don't think we have an Instagram just yet.
Could I make a recommendation that it goes to Bob Montgomery? Because he does a wonderful job reporting here in County News with his media outlet.
Sure does.
Sure, that's included in that.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Scott Miller.
and yeah, Scott Miller
Yeah.
too is excellent. So what is the county's Facebook page under? I look for it this week and I do.
County, I think it's on our website if you go.
Okay,
You'll
all right.
see it. I think it's just Huron County Facebook.
I think if you just search Huron County on Facebook, it'll pop up.
Okay,
It should.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at right after the meeting.
Share and I'd like to promote the county. when I get a chance.
Yeah.
Things that are happening in the county.
And I would highly recommend that all committee members share that stuff when it does get released as well, please.
March 17th. St. Patrick's Day. We agree. What we will do is Lubita will send a list of all the meetings for 2025 out. They've already been approved by county council. So everybody can put them in their calendars. So you have a full year's advance. Generally, we don't change them. Okay. And on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank Trevor and the warden for being part of the committee. Every 2 years at county council, we have what's called a warden election. And we may or may not change our warden depending on what happens in the next couple of days. And we may or may not change our chair. So the council decides that on November 27th. And I would like to thank for both of them for their commitment to this committee because it is again refreshing. And as they say, you can't unsee what you see now.
Mhm.
So it's been a delight to have you, and we appreciate all your the learnings that you've shared with us and that we have shared with you. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And I'll just step in, then I'm sure the warden will have some words too. Like Susan expressed, and I've expressed several times, every facility that I walk into now, I have that accessible lens, right? And it's nice that I've met all of you, and, I know Michelle approached me at the long table dinner just as an example as to, what wasn't in place. And those are things that we're gonna, so in a way, it's good that something isn't in place because then it makes you realize this is what we need to put into place, right? At the time, it's frustrating, but those are the negatives that you can turn into a positive in the future. And those are the ways that you learn, and you can have communications with the event organizers, which is, you know, the checklists and everything that's been created now. That's another way to communicate with the municipalities and the event organizers like the BIA and the Lions Club and whoever, right? To make them aware, because let's be honest, some of these service clubs, they do wonderful work, but they might not have that accessible lens that all of us around the table do have. And if we're able to share that stuff like we are with this checklist and just having one-on-one conversations with them, the next time they have that event, those things will be in place. And, you know, I think every single person around this table is remarkable, right? I can use all of you as an example when I talk to people. And Julie, I will say this, you know, you're a champion and you're inspiring. And I don't mean to center you out, because everyone around this table is also the same. But for your situation, you were able to walk one day, you were able to ride a bike one day, and you left home one day, and then that was taken away from you. And instead of, you know, for some people, they might want to give up, you didn't give up. What you're doing is so inspiring for everyone around this table, not just around this table, but for everyone. And I can't commend you enough. And that's why I felt it was important to have you as one of my speakers at my mayor's luncheon last year to share those stories for the 100 and so people that were there to hear it. So on behalf of myself, I just want to let you know that you're very inspiring for myself. So thank you for that. So, Warden McNeil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude as being the privilege and honor of being Huron County Warden to be on this committee. As you mentioned, Julie, earlier, Huron County is a leader in accessibility, and we're a leader in so many areas, and accessibility is so important, and I'm proud to be the warden of this county that we take such a lead in an important aspect. So thank you very much to all, Mr. Chair, for your leadership of this committee and to everyone's input. And it is very important that Huron County continue to be a leader that others look to. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay.
And to our
So-
staff for the great work that you do.
Well,
You know, we can have ideas.
Mhm.
We're the what, staff are the how. And to our staff for implementing the programs, coming up with concepts. Thank you very much. And on behalf of Huron County Council, thank you.
yeah, that's well said too. I would concur with that. I know the bandwidth of staff is very thin, but they continue to push things forward. Which is, you know, we're lucky to have the staff that we do have at Huron County. Even you, Susan. Huh?
That might have been.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you
We'll
go.
regret that.
Yeah, I know. Well, now I'm saying that we'll adjourn the meeting, okay, folks? If there's no other comments, I will look to adjourn the meeting at 10:35 a.m. Do I have a mover to adjourn? Julie adjourns the move and Michelle seconds. All in favor? Carrie, thank you very much, everyone. I had to get.
Yeah.